Hey, what's good? What's good with y'all? Let me make sure my sound levels is right. Let's see here. Hey, what's good with y'all? What I'm sounding like? What's up, Sister Baratanawa? Desiree, how you doing? How you doing? Greetings. The way I say it is shalom, right? Peace unto you. Yeah, we're about to get started right in a minute. Yeah, we're about to get started. Perfect. Perfect. I sound good. Thank you. Thank you. You know, let me turn this down. Turn this music off. Yeah, I just gotta keep it in mind. I gotta start checking, making sure the sound is right. It can look good on the outside from me looking at everything right here, but sometimes um, the microphone disconnects for whatever reason. So yeah, but how is everyone doing this Sunday? I'm in Southern California. I am the Thawahgabar for Black Authentic Truth. It is a ugly, ugly day today. I think it might be some thunderstorms or something going on. It's just that type of weather. It reminds me of when I was in Puerto Rico about 2 months ago. Just that type of weather where it can change real quick and it's humid and it's cloudy and it's ugly. Yeah. But other than that, I'm doing good. I'm doing well. And I hope everyone that is tuning in, locked in, I hope you're doing well also. All right. And I know today was Charlie Kirk's what is this memorial? I think it might be still be going on. And I had looked at it about that was probably like 4 hours ago. That was earlier. And I looked at it and man, the donations that was coming in through the live stream was crazy. It was crazy. Robert J. Carmichael, what are you talking about? I'm a little lost. A little lost with what you're talking about. If you can clarify. Yeah, but man, I seen like people was donating like 200K on the live stream. I was like, good night, that's crazy. And then I thought about it. I said, what would Jesus say? I guess Christ would have said, you know what, the dead don't need no money, but the poor do. You know, I'm just being honest. If you're really coming from the Bible, I mean, let's keep it 1,000. Remember that parable with the rich man? He said, I done did everything and did all I can do. What else can I do? And Christ said, take your everything that you got and sell it and give it to the poor. And it said he walked away sorrowful. He walked away sad. He couldn't do that. You know what I mean? He could not give up uh, his worldly possessions and his riches to help his people out. That's one thing he could not do. That's one thing he could not do. You know what I mean? Oh, so Robert, you saying Trump is not blocking Black history? Okay, all right. Desiree, you good? You good? When it comes to curse words are just words of expression. Curse words are for curse words. In the Black community, we say cuss, stop cussing. Curse words are really just to get a point across. Now, they can be seen as derogatory, or they could be seen as, you just trying to emphasize maybe a point, maybe that you're upset. You know, it's just a way of communication that is not always looked at as, that people typically want to hear. But most cases, curse words get the point across of what you're feeling. It's an you know, they're used usually in, you know, in an expression of an emotion. You know, whether it's being you're being strict, you're feeling angry or whatever the case may be. But sometimes I curse just to get a point across, not because of the vulgarity, because some people say, "Oh, it's vulgar to cuss," and this and that. But it's no big deal. It's no big deal at all. Um, long as you have good intentions and your intentions are pure, it doesn't, you know. Another scripture says, "Listen, my, uh, you know, all day, although I may be rude in speech, I'm not rude in knowledge." So a lot of times people look at how things are said, and that goes across the board. People will look at the way things are said, like the force that's coming out, the strength, the way you say it, the cussing, and they will say they'll get offended by that. But is it true or not? Is it something that's actually truthful? Is it going to fix the problem? Is it a remedy to whatever the problem is? Yeah, a person may be saying a curse word, but at the same time, is it truthful? Is it constructive criticism that you probably just can't take? Sometimes you have to look and say, you know what? I didn't like the way she said that. I didn't like the way he said that, but he's right. She's right. Like they're not lying. They're telling the truth. So yeah, definitely. Um hey, what's good with you, Black Rain 303 and Princess Kanawa? How are y'all doing? I was just telling people, we was talking about curse words. We was also I was just asking brothers and sisters how was their Sunday going. I was asking them, and I was just saying that like today is crazy. It's a ugly, ugly, humid, nasty day in Southern California, wherever you at. I don't know about Northern California because Northern California it'll be chillier, Northern California, but Southern California, it's nasty, it's humid, and it's just ugly weather. I don't care if you're in the mountains, if you're in the valley like me, or if you at the beach. It's ugly. Um, so yeah, and I was speaking on the Charlie Kirk thing that was going on right now, and I had tuned in, right? And this was on the Turning Point page, and the donations that were coming in were like, I seen some, $200,000 donations, and I said, what would Christ say? He would say a person that is no longer here don't need that money, but the poor do. You know what I mean? And then I brought out the oh, Black Rain said it's quiet and nice in Phoenix, Arizona. It's hot in Vegas. I bet it is. I bet it is. Yeah, but anyway, man, I'm glad everybody locked in, tuning in. Oh, let me share this. I forgot to share it. I want to share it to the page where I'm gonna share it to the Black Authentic Truth on Facebook, because Black Authentic Truth on Facebook has started to get a lot of. It's like a door been open. I don't know what it is, but uh, just gaining traction and a lot of momentum as far as followers and everything. So that just opens a Black Authentic Truth up to more people and more exposure. And you can't complain about that, because the ultimate goal, the ultimate backing behind Black Authentic Truth is the truth of who Black people are. You understand? That's why I'm even here. That's why that's why this platform even exists and why I was inspired to do it. Of course, I started to do it just to talk about history that no one talks about, historical figures that no one has heard about. But the emphasis is on the truth and just breaking things down. This is a good one. Yeah, so another thing about it, I posted a picture of a little sister. Let me see if I can find it. It's a little sister that she's laying on a pile of cotton. She fell asleep on a pile of cotton in the 1900s. It's a harmless picture. It's just a picture to remind us of, what our ancestors endured and, why we got to do so much better. Harmless picture, right? Historical picture. And then you have white folks come in there and troll and say the most vile, nasty things you could say, you know? And I thought it was funny because I said, it's like there's a if you go, the last thing I posted on Black Authentic Truth on Facebook was a meme where you have two black people sitting talking, and then you have a white person in the doorway looking over their shoulder like ready to chime in and listen and be nosy. And I said sometimes some things don't need to be said, and everything ain't for you. Like I know there's a big world of social media where there are conversations that I've seen that it's not for me. And I just keep on pushing and keep on scrolling. I mind my business. I don't care. But it seems that black people can't even mind their black business nowadays. That's just something I was thinking about. But yeah, I don't know if y'all can see this. Can you see it? You can see it. It is an image of a little girl that she fell asleep on a bale of cotton. Um, yeah, and it's just crazy. It just can't be, wow. Thank you for, reminding us of the past or something like that. It has to be uh, something vile and nasty. But anyway, we ain't mad at that. We know what time it is. We're not mad at, like, listen, I'm not mad at racism. I'm not mad at I'm not, like I tell the truth, I'm not trying to convince, white people that they're a lot of them that they're racist. That's not my goal. I would never try to convince them. You can't convince, you can't convince somebody that doesn't want to, take accountability that, of the things they're not taking accountability of. I mean, I would never do that. I just want to educate black people to know what time it is and the world that you really live in, the real world, not the world of make believe and not the world of utopia in the American dream. It's very hard to get to black people that in some type of way they have been successful for themselves, because once you get that, that inch of success and some doors open for you, it's sometimes it's hard to change your perspective because now you have a new perspective because you're like, okay, well, I opened this successful business and I came from the bottom and, I don't have, why are everybody making excuses, So it's very hard sometimes to get through people that think that they obtained something and they're better than the others. They're like an exceptional Negro. It's very hard sometimes to get to those people, and I had opportunities to be successful in the past, and I'm kind of glad I didn't because I was grounded and it made me see the world. It would have made me see the world very differently. And maybe I wouldn't have compassion on my brothers or the word empathy for what happens to my people. Anyway, I don't want to hold it up too much. Let me look at some of the comments. Black Rain said, "Thank you, Black Rain. The recent shorts, yeah, man, check out my shorts, man. I've been going crazy. Been going crazy. Yes, man, the world runs off the salt of the earth. And if you don't know what Black Rain is talking about, he's taking it straight to the scripture that black people and brown people are the salt of the earth. Like, and the salt is what gives food seasoning. And when you give food seasoning, I mean, it's good, it's terrific, it's great. America is good, it's terrific, it's great. But if you was to take that seasoning away, if these people was to if tomorrow in a blink of an eye, black people and brown people, I'm talking Mexican people and Native Indian people, if they were not in America, in a blink of an eye, black people just take everything, take all the talents, think about all of the things that we have accomplished, just take it away. What would America be? I'm not saying America wouldn't exist. I'm not saying it wouldn't be able to thrive. What I'm saying is, like a dish of food, that flavor would be gone. So it would be like, you go to white barbecue, what they put in the white barbecue, what is the sides? Um, a marshmallow casserole with raisins. That's what America would be. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, yes. Which one, Desiree? Which one you want? Which one do you want? I don't know which, because I think I said one or two. Forgive me. Black Green said exactly. He said it would be Russia or Ukraine. Good night, Mayo. I was going to say, um, I was going to say it would be like, I was going to say Czechoslovakia, but I'm not familiar with it. But it sounds like one of those places that are similar to Ukraine. Am I wrong or right, Black Rain? Because I know you would know because you're familiar and you actually lived in Europe. I'm gonna put it in the chat for you, Desiree. Put it in the chat. Then I'm gonna get into this story. I'm gonna get into the first story. So I'm right. Okay. Yeah. So it's a love-hate relationship. It's like you don't like us, but you really, really need us. No, I'm gonna put it right here. When I say chat, Desiree, I mean right here where you are commenting at. There it go. So I want to get to this first. And man, this has been one of the longest times that I actually just wore an afro. I want to talk about that too. Like this is one of the longest times I wore an afro. Um, and so it's crazy the response you get. You get a response where people is like they looking at you like, damn, like they're not used to seeing, black men or black people in general walk around like with their natural hair like this. You know what I'm saying? They're used to seeing a clean cut, shave face type of black man. You know what I mean? And maybe at the most, like maybe some dreadlocks, maybe some cornrows or something like that. When you talk about just hair in a more raw state, um, which is, you know, is shocking to people. But I get a lot of compliments, um, and somebody said something to me. I don't know who said it. I can't remember because I be reading so many comments. Somebody said, uh, they said that they said your hair is spiritual. Your hair, that crown is spiritual. I was like, whoa. I was like, that's what's up. You know what I mean? All right, like our hair is spiritual. Our hair can do things that other people here can't do, if you get my drift. Um, she said the fro is froing. You said you've been laughed at by white folks while having your fro out. I mean, I mean, it's not nothing. We can't, I don't care about what they think, as far as like, I don't really notice them. And then you remember that thing they used to go around where, they say that they always want to like touch your hair. It's not really them. It's like it's like Mexican people that give me compliments, and you get that black person that see you and be like, "That's what's up. That's what's up. I like that. I like that, brother, sisters. I like your hair. Like that's what you know what I mean. Like it does something when people see it. You know what I mean. It's just like give them if you would say, like a boost of pride within who they are to see another black person in this day and age where everybody is wearing everybody's getting haircuts. I mean that black, and what people don't know about me, I used to be a barber until I came into the truth. I used to cut hair. You know what I mean? I used to do crazy work with the designs, with the razor and all of that. And so, to see me like this, a lot of people that would have known me in the past, this is totally different. You know what I mean? But you can't be mad at it. I'm not mad at it. I think it's a beautiful thing when I see a black woman with a fro, some cornrows. It's just something natural. You know what I'm saying? And if you just go back to the 1950s, 1940s, where it was more like I think they would use the pressing comb and stuff, but it was still natural, right? So it, that is, that's what it is. You know what I mean? But shout out to the, you know what I'm saying? I'm thankful. Let me tell you something. I'm thankful to be Black. I'm so thankful that the Most High, I came into this earth as a Black person, as a Black man. I'm so thankful to be Black. Did I say that? I'm so thankful to be Black. Like, I am so thankful to be, I love my people. I'm so thankful to be who we are. I wouldn't have it any other way. If they said, listen, in a blink of an eye, you can come back and you can be any other race, I would be the same as what I am, because I'm so thankful for being what I am. You know what I mean? That's a clip. I'm so thankful for being what I am. But yeah, so moving on, I want to get into these stories. I want to get into these stories. Colin Kaepernick. So we know the story of Trey Reed. Trey Reed was found hanging at Delta State University. They have already ruled it they have ruled it self unaliving. They said there was no foul play. They said it was no foul play. And Colin Kaepernick, this is what Colin Kaepernick said. So I'm gonna read some of the article. Read some of this article with Colin Kaepernick. So this is from News Nation. It says Colin Kaepernick to pay for an independent autopsy for student found hanging from a tree. It says the former San Francisco 49ers quarterback will pay for an independent autopsy for the student found hanging in a tree on the campus of a Mississippi university. DeMar Travion, Trey Reed's body was found at 7:05 a.m. on Monday, September 15th, according to campus police at Delta State University in Cleveland, Mississippi. It says that I want to skip down to the meat of it. It says, let's get what the university said. It said, we will seek answers independently from Delta State University and from the coroner's office, and if need be, independent from the state coroner's office, because we need answers as to what happened to Trey Reed, said family attorney Vanessa J. Jones in a statement reported by USA Today. You know, that's very interesting that was said, because when I saw this story, I said, okay, well, it's going to be an independent autopsy, but who's going to do the autopsy? And if you're paying for it and you're coming to that area, can you trust the people that are going to do the autopsy again? You know what I'm saying? Can you trust them? And so what was said is, they said, listen, they said, we're seeking an independent autopsy, and if need be, an independent from the state coroner's office, because we need answers as to what happened to Trey Reed. So they're going to go all the way to get the answers, because I'm saying, like, if there is foul play and a cover up, what I was thinking would happen is they'll try to cover their asses. You know, the coroner, like even right now, I don't know if his body has been released, but they'll try to cover, their tail, and, start making phone calls to whoever is going to get paid to do whoever is the other medical examiner that will get paid. So in my mind, I was thinking, like, for it to be clean, like, let's just say you got the resources, you get a medical examiner from a whole nother state. Colin Kaepernick's here in California, like from California, and fly him out there with you. You know what I mean? In order to get the real answers that you're seeking. You know what I mean? So let me read a little more. Let me read some more on it. It says, on Friday, civil rights attorney Ben Crump announced that Colin Kaepernick Know Your Rights Camp Autopsy Initiative would cover the cost of a second independent autopsy for Reed. Reed's family, according to Crump, will seek the autopsy as soon as Reed's body is released by the state medical examiner. Now, It says Trey's death invoked the collective memory of a community that has suffered a historic wound over many, many years and many, many deaths, said Crump. Peace will come only by getting the truth. We thank Colin Kaepernick for supporting this grieving family and the cause of justice. Right? So that's what I want to say. Shout out to Colin Kaepernick, man. Once again, being a stand-up human being, being a stand-up brother, a stand-up brother. I still didn't share it. I was talking too much. Y'all, forgive me, y'all. Let me share this video. Colin Kaepernick, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Colin Kaepernick. Let me see. Just y'all give me 1 second. Let me just share this real quick. I'm going to say live now. Tap in. Live. Great. Okay, we're good. Now, getting back to what I was saying, excuse me. Colin Kaepernick was a stand-up brother, right? We remember Colin Kaepernick basically chose fighting for his people over his career and millions of dollars. It like you don't really find that. You don't typically find that. Like we hear this situation, and Colin Kaepernick is saying, listen, well, let's do another one. I'm gonna pay for it. Y'all remember the story of Javion McGee, the brother that was driving a box truck in North Carolina. He was found with a rope around his neck at the base of a tree in a known sundown town, historical place where black people, or a part of the town where black people know not to go. And, you know, they said right away there was no foul play. But the same situation happened with Kendrick Johnson. If y'all remember, this was years ago. Kendrick Johnson was the brother who they said climbed up a mat and at school while school was on a gym mat, while the gym mat is sitting vertical. He climbed up it and went inside trying to get his shoe that fell down in the gym mat. That's how they found his body. But video had showed that he was, you know, showed him going into it. But the video had also, I'm sorry, let me slow down. Showed him going into the gym, but the video had been tampered with, right? And the boys accused of, you know, beating him up and getting into it with him were sons of an FBI agent. But his family his mother and father was able to get an independent autopsy that showed that there was blunt force trauma to his neck and his head. But the medical examiner in Valdosta, Georgia, they just buried him, said no foul play. So this happens a lot, and we'll never know because most black people don't got no money to get an independent examiner to, you know, exhume your body and, you know, do it again. And then another thing, as time goes on, you know, it gets harder to get those results because of the nature of a body, you know, decaying and things of that nature. So shout out to Colin Kaepernick. He stepped in, and you have to ask yourself, where are all of these celebrities and all these black people with the big money that, you know, they see this, everybody's on social media. Do they even care? Do they give a damn? I would say they don't. But we know we got a solid brother in Colin Kaepernick that, like I said, you know. And another thing, speaking of Colin Kaepernick, we're gonna get on that Charlie Kirk thing. The sister said, weren't his organs missing also? I remember that correctly. Yes, his organs were missing also. When they exhumed his body, he didn't have no organs and he was stuffed with newspaper. Kendrick Johnson, look it up. Valdosta, Georgia. But this situation with remember with Colin Kaepernick, they were saying, don't bring politics into the game. You're messing up my Monday Night Football. You're bringing, you know, You know, you should a player should stay out of politics. He should stay out of stuff like that. Donald Trump said somebody should, fire the son of a bitch. That's what he said about Colin Kaepernick. And the people that love to watch football were upset because these politics is messing with their football. People are taking a knee here and taking a knee there. And Colin Kaepernick did this because of the vast amount of unarmed black men that were being killed by police on camera. A noble cause. But they said, no, keep the politics out. But now you fast forward almost 10 years later, and we have the situation with Charlie Kirk. They have memorials in the football stadiums, moment of silence in the football stadiums. And even today, they had this memorial in the Cardinals football stadium. That just shows you the gross hypocrisy that these people have. That's diabolically hypocritical. Diabolically hypocritical. You see how quick things change. You see how quick things change, right? But anyway, shout out to Colin Kaepernick. You know what I mean? As a black man that loves his people, to another black man that has the resources to help his people when he can. You know what I'm saying? I salute you. You know what I mean? Shout out to Colin Kaepernick. Now, let me drop these real quick. I want to get to, and usually I write my notes down. I'll put them in my phone. Okay. I'm going to get to this next video. Remove this. And we got a good Black Authentic Truth story this evening. I'm going to end with. All right. This is a video.
You haven't heard about this new Texas law? I want you to send this video to everybody you know that's conducting any type of activity in the streets, especially if the internet is involved in any way. Whether they brandishing firearms or they trying to move them packs, please make sure the word get out. Listen.
New law in Texas effective immediately. Social media can double your prison time. Now, what are we talking about? Our Texas legislature passed several bills that are now in effect. And on a lot of these crimes, not all of them, but several of them, they have an enhancement, right, or an increased penalty range to add more prison time if social media is a part of it. So drug dealing, for example, if somebody sells or purchases any kind of drug through social media, right? It doesn't have to be a post. It can be a DM or direct message. And that's found out a part of the investigation. The potential prison time can be doubled. So let's say it was originally a 3rd-degree felony, which is 2 to 10 years in prison. Now, all of a sudden, social media is used as part of that transaction. We're not 2 to 10, we're 2 to 20 years in prison.
Whoosh.
Now, many people, and this is specific to people in Texas, but I'm gonna talk about it like it's for everybody. Now, this is Conscious Lee. He's real big on like the TikTok scene and all that. Shout out to what he's doing and what I don't got nothing against what he's doing, right? And he made this video to inform. If you live in Texas and if you're doing any type of illegal crime, whether it's dealing with guns, it's dealing with selling drugs, whatever, now there's an enhancement if you're using social media to do those things. So we all know, like when I was in the world and I was selling dope and I was doing all of these things to hurt my people, of course, that's how you communicate it. It's not rocket science. Everybody communicate that way. Even if you go to back in the day, they was using pagers to communicate. You know what I mean? Then you go to the payphone. But now, you know, everybody uses social media in some form for communication. And now these things are going to make your original crime, they're going to give it enhancements. And it was explained that you'll get more time if it is found that you were communicating a drug sale or a connection through text messages or something like that. And so what Black people have to understand is that they are always going to try to be a step ahead and criminalize things, you know, to make it harder for you. They're always going to do that. Case in point, when, you know, cocaine hit the scene, cocaine was like a party drug. But then when they made crack cocaine, which was more of a watered down form, the person with the crack cocaine caught with it would get way more time than the person with the cocaine. The cocaine is more expensive, and usually it'll be white people with the cocaine. And usually it'll be Black and brown people with the crack. And so they found a way to penalize Black people even more for having the same thing, basically. So I said all of this to say, what's the solution to this whole problem? What's the solution? The solution is to not sell drugs to your people. How do you defeat laws like this? The solution is to not be involved with illegal activity. The solution is to not have illegal weapons, to not sell illegal drugs, to not use drugs. And then you don't have to worry about whatever the oppressor is trying to brew up to get you locked up. Do somebody feel me? That's the solution. It's the solution we don't want to hear, though. You don't want to hear that solution. That's the solution. So I tell you what, you making money, right? You making good money. You taking care of your family with this good money. You're going to have to make a sacrifice. You're going to have to make a sacrifice. You're going to have to say, I don't want to do this anymore, and I'll be broke. Your girl might leave you. People might look at you different. You won't be able to hit the block with the latest, you know, designer clothes. But the most important thing is you won't have to look behind your back and worry about the man gaffling you up and you sitting behind bars for 10 and 20 years of your life. That's the solution. I'm not going to tell you, hey, check it out. On Friday, on such and such street, there's going to be a checkpoint. Watch out. Don't go down that street. Why? Because they pull you over. You might not be legit. You might have something in the trunk. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you, don't even get the drugs. Find a better way, brother. Sit down for a minute. Come up with a plan. Come up with a plan where you can be clear and clean of ever having to worry about what is going to happen to you based on the things that you're doing in the street, based on the illegal activity that you're doing. That's why I keep God's laws. You know why? Because when I keep God's laws, I don't even have to worry about man's laws. I looked at the police like it's not nothing. But when I was in the world, if a police get behind me, I was shaking in my shoes because I knew I was dirty. I knew, you know what I'm saying? When you live that life, you know, you are living in fear all the time. You know that it's just a matter of time. You know in the back of your mind, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time before they gaffle me up. It's just a matter of time for somebody snitch on me. It's just a matter of time before, you know, an informant, you know, I run into the wrong person and they get me. So the solution to what this video is about consciously, looking out for people in Texas. Then he goes to the white man telling you, listen, we're making these laws. If you're on social media, you're going to get more time. The solution to all of that, bump that video. The solution to it is to don't do drugs, don't sell drugs, don't hate your people. Sit down, come with a plan, and figure out a way you can be legit. Figure out a way that you can be righteous. Figure out a way that you don't have to worry and look behind your back and live a clean life. We don't have to live the life that our forefathers and mothers lived in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? We intelligent enough to come up with ways to make money where we don't have to worry about being taken off the streets or taken from our families. I pray you understand. I hope somebody got that. That's the solution. That's the solution. You know what I mean? That's the solution. Put it down. Leave it alone. Now let me get to this next video. All right.
Black man in America understands how stupid street culture really is, how idiotic and nonsensical it is. It's a lose-lose situation. And what drives me even more insane is that we have people that are old enough to be getting their colonoscopy still out here talking about what street culture is and what street culture isn't. Haven't you done enough? Haven't you let enough young black men into the wrong path? And before anybody comes around talking about, oh, you wouldn't understand, you're African, be quiet. You don't know what I've been through. 10 years of my life I spent in America. I lived in gang-infested neighborhoods. I went to school in gang-infested neighborhoods. So you're not telling me nothing. I'm from uptown New York. Other communities are talking about so many other things that's advancing them forward, and we still stuck on these degenerate ideas and low vibrational frequencies. How much longer are we gonna make hip-hop and rap culture black culture? You have to think bigger. The world is so much bigger than the black. And majority of y'all hold United States passports. Do you know what people would do for a US passport? This is the last time I'm ever gonna be talking about this in a video because it's just so low vibrational. Like, bro, think bigger, dream bigger, travel out, venture out, like experience new things. Like, bro.
Now, this is an African man that is saying, he lives in America, and he is basically berating black people in America about street culture and about rap and hip hop music. Now, some of the points that he's making are points that I would make, some of them, right? But there's a fine line between correcting or giving constructive criticism and coming off a little brash, okay? Now, the thing about this is, and many of y'all don't know, I know a lot of y'all that, as far as people that are in the truth and understand the identity of the Negroes that came on slave ships, many of y'all don't know that Black people and Native Africans, or the Negroes that were sold on slave ships, are not the same people. And that that there's a disconnect, but you don't know why the disconnect is there. Now, what you have to understand is, if you are brainwashed by the white man's education system, you will look at it as though we sold our own people. And that is not the truth. And you have to step out of this paradigm of America and then ask yourself, would you sell your family members? Would you even sell the people that you live in a community with, you grew up with, to a pale man that you've never seen before? You wouldn't. That's just common sense. The point that I'm making is that people like him, his ancestors sold our ancestors through kidnapping, through wars and battles, and being prisoners of war. Another thing that a lot of people, not just Black people, but white people also need to learn is that everybody that is dark-skinned is not the same. Everybody that's dark-skinned is not the same. So in essence, when I see this, what I see, I feel the same way that I would feel if this was Charlie Kirk saying it. Now you listen to what he had just said. Now imagine that's the same stuff Charlie Kirk was saying. So he gets flamed the same way I would flame the points that Charlie Kirk made. The audacity of him to speak on the black community, but not his own people. And the same thing I said about the things that Charlie Kirk would say, he's saying what a white supremacist would say to black people. And you don't think black people don't know what right and wrong is? You don't think we don't know what righteousness and wickedness is? You don't think we, because, there are some messed up parts of black culture. You don't think we see that and we understand it? You think that all black people agree with it? You think all black people agree with Stephon Diggs, having, all these women, Cardi B with Offset, 3 kids. Now she have another kid by him. You see, real life culture of black people is not social media. Black people have morality. We understand what is right and wrong. The problem is when somebody that was a part of our destruction starts to tell us what right and wrong is. You out your goddamn mind. You out your goddamn mind. You know what I'm saying? That won't never fly. And you can never get respect from a black man like me. But black people, there are black people that like this. They like this type of, message coming from somebody that ain't even, he ain't a nigga. He ain't went through what our forefathers went through. When black people went through all the hell they went through in America, where were Africans at? When has they ever sent a boat and said, come back home to our lost brothers and sisters that we sold off? It's never happened. And y'all so delusional. The return to Ghana, they said it themselves. It came out years later that the return to Ghana, that whole campaign while bringing black American actors and actresses there to visit and stuff and advertising that was to get black people to go move over there to stimulate their economy, to bring black American dollars into the economy. It wasn't about these are our family. This is our long lost loved ones. This is a sister that I follow. Her name is Inez. I can't remember. Is it Inez Finley? I know her name is Inez. She's from Oakland. She took the money she made and she went and moved to Ghana. And she makes videos. And just from her videos, I know that black women moved out there and then got murdered. Them Africans is treating black people like they are outsiders. That was just a dream. You know what I mean? I'm not saying all, but I know there's about 5 stories of black people that relocated out there and end up got killed by the locals. And they land taken and they homes taken because the law out there is different. But I look at you have black people that would agree with what he just said. But guess what? You have black people that agree with what Charlie Kirk said. They're 2 sides of the same coin. Europeans and Africans who sold black Negroes on the transatlantic slave trade. Do your history. A lot of people probably think I'm talking out the side of my neck like Charlie Kirk. I'm not. I know what the hell I'm talking about. Trust and believe. Y'all know it's been a disconnect forever between Native Africans and black people, but you can't pinpoint it. You want to blame it on the fact that it's miseducation. It is miseducation, but you want to blame it on other things except finding out that, listen, we're not even the same people. There are 54 countries in Africa. There are multiple, thousands of languages and ethnicities. Recently, they came out with a study where they studied the DNA genomes of Africans, and there was the diversity was immense, meaning nobody was the same. Diversity. I'm not talking about how we look, because of course you can go to West Africa and because of the intermingling, you see more in the area of West Africa, the Ivory Coast, you see more people that look like Black Americans because that's where we came from. But when you're talking about Sinhalese, they have a distinct physiology. They have a distinct phenotype. When you're talking about what is the people? What is those Maasai? When you're talking about Somalians, you're talking about Ugandans. You have people that Nigerians. You have people that have distinct looks among their people. Just like the same was like East Indians, like Hindus. They can be as dark as pitch night, or they can be light color, like a white person. But when they're dark, do you say that they're African? No, because we know that, you know, at one point in time, the whole earth was dark. Everybody was black, but they wasn't the same. And I'll end it here like I always end it. I'll end it here. When you look at the walls of ancient Egypt, and you look at the enemies of the ancient Egyptians, they were other black races. My point is, at no time in the history of the earth was there a black coalition based on skin color, because everybody was black. And a lot of people did not get along. A lot of nations did not get along. They fought wars and battles against each other. Egyptians fought the Ethiopians, fought the Libyans. I mean, I can go on and on. Aditha Lee, you said most Black Americans are indigenous Indians. No, Africa, nowhere. You said back in the 1970s, the Africans used to tell Black people this because the American Blacks thought they came from Africa. Well, yeah, you can use that, but I have done the research, and I see the thing is I read the historical documents of the slaves that came here and what they said. Many slaves came from Africa. If you read the book about, there's one brother that literally tells him and his sister was kidnapped. His name is Aladu Iqueno. He has a book. It's a very popular book because it is a full hand account of slavery. But when there's this thing going around where Black people are saying that they're Indians, they never went to Africa. I've even heard Black people say the crazy thing that the slave trade never happened, which is crazy because they have so many logs and so much manuscripts that prove, and you got a crew, National Geographic crew of Black women scuba diving, finding slave ships. So, but a lot of people are saying they're Native Indians. You know what? Okay. When you talk about Native Indians, you're talking about a particular people. Not all Black people is Native Indians. And I can bet you 1,000%, many Black people that are saying they're Native Indians have no connection to Native Indians. When you look at Native Indians, most Native Indians, and this is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings because they're going to have to deal with this. When I look at ancient cultures, what I look at is the language, and I look at their culture, and also I listen to their oral stories. Most Native Indian oral stories say they came from the East. They didn't even originate here. When you look at certain Native Indian tribes, their language has a form or a dialect of ancient Hebrew. Also, what you call it, Assyrian or Babylonian cuneiform in it, and Egyptian slang in it. So a lot of Native Indians that people think are just started here in America, they came from the East. This is in the Mayans origin story. When you look at what is his name, Chief Joseph, Nez Perce Indians, when a white man came about him, he had in his hand the possession of a cuneiform tablet. Cuneiform is the original language that the Sumerians, the Babylonians spoke. They asked him, how did you get this? He said it had been passed down generations throughout his family. So there is a disconnect somewhere where people are not really researching who these people are. And if they're going to say they're Native Indians, they're going to have to come to the understanding that these people originated somewhere else. Another one is the Puerto Ricans. Recently, it came out that you have caves in Puerto Rico, and I was trying to go to them, but I didn't get a chance to go to them when I was out there. It's ancient Hebrew all in the caves. And these are the original Puerto Ricans that came to these islands, their original language before Spanish conquistadors came and destroyed them. So people are going to have to deal with that. They're going to have to deal with, not only they're going to have to, another thing, I know a lot of y'all ain't going to like Native Indians have more than one wife. Ooh-wee. Y'all going to have to deal with a lot of things that that was in their culture, and you're going to have to claim it all if that's what you is. That's why I say, when you're going to claim that you African, I'm like, what tribe are you from? Because there's more than 54 countries and ethnicities. And so are you from these people? Because these people do this. Are you from these people? Well, why you ain't doing your culture? You know what I mean? Why you ain't doing your culture? Why you ain't pouring that, you know? You said, okay. Let's see. Y'all forgive me. You said, I asked my great grandma about Africa and she knew nothing about it. I believe that. I believe that. Like, I'm not discounting what you're saying, sis. Don't even think that. I'm just saying that a lot of there's a wave right now of Black people. There's a wave of Black people saying that they're Native Indians right now. I've always knew that Native Indians come in different shades of brown. And a lot of the memes that you see Black people posting that claim that they're the real Native Indians, it's now they're doing AI. They making literally AI. You could tell AI, but the claim is that when you see the pictures of the dark Indians, that they're saying, look, this was us. This was us. When every people come in different shades of brown. Hell, Black people come in different shades of brown. You can take two dark Black people and they can produce a light child. So, you know, I think Black people are really caught up on colorism. And it ain't just us, but in this instance, I'm saying we're caught up on colorism, on the color of something. Look how dark these niggas and these light ones, they not real ones. The dark ones is the real ones. The dark niggas is the real niggas. See, you mix with the white man. Like, we're caught up on colorism. It's funny because when it comes to us and the variation that we got, we always say that we are the mother and father of civilization. But when you see a light-skinned brother or sister, you say, they ain't really Black, they white. They, down the line, slave masters slept with, you know, one of their peoples. And I'm like, why is it that they don't never do that for white people? White people is mixing with everybody, so white people ain't mixed. They white. But when it comes to Black people, you ain't the darkest Black blue nigga in the world. Oh, he's mixed with white. Ain't that a double standard, y'all? I don't know, but don't y'all think so? You said Native Indians are from Serbia and Russia. That is not true. That is not true. And the man that came up with the Bering Strait, because what you're saying is they came through the Bering Strait. When you say they're from Serbia and Russia, you're saying they came through the ice bridge. But that's been proven false. The man that made up that theory, he made it up on purpose. And now you have people that regurgitate that. You're going to have, like, you can't look at Native Indian culture and find it in Serbia and Russia. They also say that Native Indians are Oriental, but you can't find Oriental culture in Native Indian culture. Now you can't even find the foods or the way of making homes and nothing like that. So these are the ways that you identify people. You have to look at the language. You have to look at what are they eating? What is their belief system? What is their language system? If you can't make those connections, then you just talking out the side of your neck like Charlie Kirk. I'm not saying it to you in general, sis. I'm just saying in period. Like, if you can't make those connections, those are solid connections. Like the language, the food, the culture, the way they dress. These are solid connections. If you can't make it between these two cultures, then there is none. And if these cultures' origin stories is telling you we come from here, then, you know, that's what I'm gonna go with. I can't go with how I feel or what I want to be true. I got to go with what the evidence and the historical record says. And the evidence is there. You know what I mean? Like I said, I heard black people say slavery never happened. I said, I never knew I would see the day when a black person would say slavery never happened. We were already here. Like, what? Like you got stories of people coming from Africa. You literally got slave narratives. I got 3 books of slave narratives where the slaves tell you how they got over here to America. Many of them tell you we came from Africa out their own mouth. So I'm gonna believe a nigga in this age that's yapping on the internet versus my ancestors that wrote it down. Like I don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? I just don't understand that. Now, like my rib, she's dark skinned, and she has the phenotype of a Native American Indian. Her grandfather lives on a reservation in Oklahoma. You know what I'm saying? And I go back and forth with her sometimes and say, just because he lives on a reservation don't mean he is Native Indian. You know what I'm saying? Because of the Freedmen's Bureau. Like if you don't know that history, then you don't know. But in the Seminole Nation, where they took in black slaves and they became part of the tribe, you know, so black people became part of the tribe. You know what I mean? And that's just the love and the brotherhood that Native Indians extended to black people over the white man. They're like, listen, once they with us, they with us. You know what I mean? But the point is that like my rib very well could be a Native American Indian. Sometimes I play with her. I call her a Jadite because a nigga mixed with a Native Indian. You know what I mean? But I play with. But the point is that even when I was coming up, and this was like 10 years ago, and I asked my father, I said, you know, because so I have a beard, but if you didn't see my beard, you would say I have Native Indian features. And I asked my father, and he said, nah, he said he had already talked to his father because my father have the high cheekbones, the real slanted eyes. My grandmother, his mother, had the high cheekbones, real slanted eyes, and asked my father, and he had asked his father a long time ago. My grandfather said, we're not Native Indian. We came off the boat. We came out of Texas. We came off the boat. So I knew a long time ago, just knowing like we came off the boat, but I also knew that there's been a lot of mixing between true natives and brothers and sisters that came in the slave trade. We actually the same people, we're just different tribes. So when we do mix, it's kind of hard to tell who, you know, the variation. And that's why it's so important for us to know our history going back, you know. And there's a brother, he's a real smart brother. His name is like Indian Red. And he does genealogy where he tracks down people's history. And some people, some black people, they not Native Indian. And then some of them, he find a connection, he find an ancestor, he find a grandfather that was a true Native Indian. You know what I mean? So I just say that to say, you know what? I'm going to do a video about that. I'm going to do one specifically about that and bring out some hardcore facts. Y'all know I've done it before where I brought out the facts they found in the Cherokee country. They found block stones with Hebrew all over them in Cherokee country. You know what I'm saying? And the white man, in his ignorance, he tried to say, well, these are a hoax. But then it came out that they're not a hoax, and that they were written in Paleo Ancient Hebrew, and it was in the possession of the Cherokees. In Ohio, they found in one of the mounds, one of those mounds, they found an Indian that was buried like with a stone in his hand. When they took the stone out, the stone was, they opened it up, it had a rendition of the 10 Commandments going around it in Paleo Hebrew. How do you even explain that? You had a place called Kohika, right, where they put the mounds in the same alignment as the pyramids in Giza. So at some point, these people who were on the east came to the west and made settlements and settled here, you know, and you have different people. But anyway, I'm talking too damn long. I'm sorry, y'all. Talking too loud, you know, I got excited. But this is a good conversation to have. Slavery, you said slavery happened by them. Columbus actually took Mayans. What is it? He first landed in the Dominican Republic. I know that Mayans went back with Columbus. I know that for sure. And a lot of people don't know that slavery started with indigenous tribes before the transatlantic slave trade started to get kicking and rolling. So what the sister said is true. That's true. So yeah, so like people like this don't have no. I look at an African, I look at a native African that talk down on black people like this, no different than I would look at a white supremacist. So I'm just gonna end that with that, and let me get you said white people are the first were the first slaves. What do you mean by that? Are you talking about the Barbary what is they call it, the Barbary slave trade by Muslims? All right, we're gonna get this. The Barbary slave trade, is that what y'all want to talk about? That's one of the ones where they try to they want to because when you if you ever bring up slavery, what they'll say is everybody been enslaved. But the fact remains that when it comes to Black Americans that you know them today coming in the transatlantic slave trade, is that that's the first time that has ever happened. That was chattel slavery. That has never happened before. Chattel slavery has never happened before until the transatlantic slave trade. The Barbary slave trade, you said whites were not the first enslaved. Did you know that the Romans used to enslave people? Did you know in 70 AD, the Romans, whoever they conquered, the different peoples they conquered, they would enslave them? I'm going back to 70 AD. You're talking about whites. Whites were slave when? What are you talking about? And then I can get into it. But if you're talking about the Barbary slave trade, you said Rome enslaved white people. Okay, if you can name the type of white people, because when we're talking about Rome, we're talking about a multiracial society. Well, yeah, when we talk about Rome, we're talking about the Roman Empire where you had different peoples just like you have in America. Now, if you want to talk about the now when I said Rome, Rome would go in, fight wars with people, and the people that survived, they would march back and take them to Rome, and they would be slaves, house servants, or they would be thrown into the gladiator games. They did this with the people of Judea, of Jerusalem. When they destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD, this is very well documented that Titus, they took back Jews and put them to fight as gladiators. They used whoever wasn't killed to be slaves and for use of the kingdom, and they used them for entertainment. All right. So let me drop this video. Let me get to how far do you want me to go back? You said I'm not going far enough. Who was so how far who was the first people to be in chattel slavery? The Acadians. But okay. All right, I don't want to get sidetracked, yo. We can talk about this. We can talk about it another time. Okay. I think my point was made. And you said something about any further back than Rome that it would not be white people. You know what? I somewhat agree with that. And I definitely agree with Black Rain. He said, no, there's no slavery that was ever done like was done unto the so-called black people, the real Jews. I mean, you can't find something like that, you know. You can't find it. Many historians will tell you that, you know, there is nothing that has ever happened in the history of the earth like chattel slavery, which happened to black people, ever. And we're not going to get into, the Olympics of who was done worse, because we know who was done worse. Now this is Corey Holcomb. He's saying some heavy stuff, and I want y'all to listen to this.
Movie Sinners. If you know anything about it, you had to invite them in your house for them to begin destroying your ass. You have to, that's just a movie. You have to invite the devil in. If you out there living the nightclub life, nightclub shit gonna happen to you. And what you gonna say? You out there in the club.
Right.
You have to, most of the time, you invite the devil in with the shit you do. You don't just, oh, the devil got me. That bitch who after Shannon Sharp, that's a fake ass bitch. But I would tell Shannon Sharp, what do you think gonna happen if you paying young whores for pussy?
All right, let's get you get the point. He talked about Shannon Sharp. He talked about the movie Sinner. I don't know if many of y'all seen the movie Sinners, right? And you had to invite the people in for them to do something to you. But he was using that as an analogy for the lifestyles that people live. Like, you don't just find yourself in bad predicaments if you're not putting yourself in that situation. If you live that type of life, that's what you're inviting into your life. You understand? That's what you're inviting into your life. All right, peace to you too. I'll see you next time. Appreciate it. Appreciate the discourse. That's what you're inviting into your life. So if you decide to live the lifestyle of, selling drugs in the streets, doing licks, doing crime in the street, that you signed up for what comes with that. You're living that life. And that's something that we don't think about until something happens. We don't realize a lot of things that we do, we bring them upon ourselves because of the choices that we make. Like, we can blame everybody else, this and that, but like, you was there. You was out there at that nightclub that night. Like, I remember back in the day, like when I was coming up, I was the type of person where I'm an introvert, right? You probably can't tell from Black Authentic Truth, but I like to chill at the house, do something that I like to do, watch a program or something like that. And my boys were young, you know what I'm saying? I'm not even 21 yet, but I'm out of high school. My boys always want to, come on, man, let's go. Like, and I'm like, I'm a chill. And they give me to go. And we go to some club and there's a shooting or a fight breaks out. One time we go to the club, somebody shot up our vehicle, and I started to get it into my head, like, you know what? Every time we go somewhere, it's always something. Like, you know what? The best thing is to not even go. So I ain't gonna even I won't get caught in nothing because I'm not there. And I've seen how other people live the opposite lifestyle. I've seen people that are no longer here, people I grew up with that sold drugs. Like, the type of lifestyle that you live in, the choices that you make, those be the things that invite the evil in. Those be the things that you get what's coming to you. You know what I mean? Not saying that you deserved it, but when you put yourself in a certain atmosphere, I mean, what can you expect? What can you expect? And when you're young, you're not thinking, you're just dumb and you're just trying to be, have the most fun you can have. You're not thinking like that. But you have a lot of adults today too that are not thinking like that. You have a lot of, I'm sorry, not adults, but grown folk. I'm talking about people in their 40s and 50s that still think the same way. You don't think like, damn, I put myself in this predicament. I'm moving this way. There was a story, this was some years back, a few years ago, that it was a rapper named I think his name was named Trouble in Atlanta, and he was unalived at a woman's home. Well, he met the woman at the club, and he went back home with her. And but this woman she just broke up with her live-in boyfriend. So while he's there at the apartment, the live-in boyfriend breaks in or comes in, because of course he would have had a key, or he would have knew a way to get in. And he unalives him, shoots him in the chest. And it's like, if you're going to be so, how can I say it? You're so zealous to get with this woman and that woman and not learn a woman and question her and do, one night stand type of stuff, you'll find yourself in a situation that you can't walk out of. If you're going to live the street life and you're going to be, a big tough cat, you'll find yourself in a situation that maybe you'll get locked up or you can't go back home because now you're in a body bag going to the morgue. You feel me? I'm trying to make it hit home, but that is the reality, y'all. That's the reality. Are you messing with this woman that she already has 3 children by this man and they're still married, and now you got her pregnant, and now it's just a messed up situation. That's a celebrity that people like to idolize, Cardi B situation with Stephon Diggs. But I'm saying the stuff that you invite in, you can't get mad at it when it comes and bite you in the ass. The brother said, that's how evil comes in, by free will and consequences. Both the Most High and the enemy follow that same basic universal law. Right. You got free will to do whatever you want to do. You can make a good choice or you can make a bad choice. You can make a wise decision or you can make a foolish decision. And at the end of it, you'll say, damn, man, I knew better. Man, I knew I shouldn't have went out with these niggas. They always start something wherever we go. Man, I knew I shouldn't have been talking with this girl, man. I know they told me she bad news and I still did it. Now look at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have free will to do what you want to do, but just know with the choices you make, you're going to also have to deal with those consequences that come from it. That's it. That's all. All right. So let me get to this video. I appreciate y'all rocking with me, being interactive and giving y'all input. That's what really makes the live pop, is when people, give their input. I don't want to be talking the whole damn time.
People.
Let me make this bigger because, let's see. Right there.
I had my first day today at a new job, and basically, without going too far into it, my job is to schedule care for people that need it. A lot of this job is going through applications for people who want to give care. I learned today, if it is a name that does not sound white, we are to move it to the completed tasks. We then note your application as moved due to name standards. Now, it's my first day, so I ask, what does that mean? I'm black, I'm very light-skinned, obviously. And she says, And I said, you mean like our names? Like our names? Because I thought it was like a brand standard, like, no, it's literally our names. So I just want you to know, and everybody else to know, this 100% happens, and I have 122 screenshots of people, their names, their phone numbers, and their email addresses, and the reason why they weren't hired directly because of their name. Then I have this. I didn't even make it 1 hour. After I got my heart rate to stop spiking, I went and found the owner like I planned and asked her directly, super calm. She didn't deny any of it. She admitted that it's, fucked up. She apologized. I told her that I don't think this is going to be a good fit because this is not something that I would be willing to participate in. I made sure to keep it like professional and not scary, like not threatening. So I have a phone call with my guy later this afternoon. I'm gonna go ahead and let him tell me how to proceed.
Now, this sister is working at a place where it's basically like in-home care, and people are applying for the job, and they're telling her if it's a black sounding name, well, she caught on to it. If it's a black sounding name, if it's a name that looks like it's a black name, to put it in this pile. These people are not getting hired. And so she asked the manager about it, and the manager admitted to it. And then she basically said, quit. She said, I can't do this. I'm not, in her own way, she quit and said, I'm not about to do this. And then she said she was talking to a lawyer to bring up a lawsuit. The point is I'm bringing this up is because this does happen even in 2025. And this is just one form of racial discrimination. Remember, they always say, stop making excuses, stop being the victim, stop this, stop that, stop complaining. Well, you have a prime example of systematic racism. Because in reality, if somebody was to say, how have you been, give me an experience you had of racism, the person that applied for this job wouldn't even know that happened to them because they wouldn't have got a call back. The only reason why you know about this is because it's from an inside point of view. It's from a lady, a sister that was actually working, and she's calling it out. Usually that's how it goes. It usually goes, there's some type of internal investigation where they see that discrimination is going on. Case in point, Navy Federal Credit Union that was discriminating against Black and Latino applicants versus white applicants and not giving them home loans. That happened, just a year ago, 2 years ago? That's called systematic racism. But this is name discrimination. Yeah, and salute that sister because, a lot of people wouldn't say anything. Some people probably too scared to lose their job would just go along with it. So shout out to her. She's another type of Black person that deserves credit, just like earlier in the show when I talked about Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, you got to give props where props is due because, he's dropping his funds to get another autopsy for Trey Reed. And you got to ask yourself, with all of these Black entertainers and people that have the resources, why have they never stepped up for all the countless brothers and sisters that have been in similar situations, being the authorities saying no foul play, this was a self-unaliving type of thing. But the point I'm bringing out is that, listen, it happens. And you would never know that you were discriminated against. You would just say, well, damn, I put in an application, I'm overqualified for the job, but they didn't give me a call back. Maybe because your name is Daquan. Maybe because your name is Shanae, like the one that the girl posted. Her name was Shanae, and they said Shanae, made fun of her name. Maybe because your name is a name typically people would think was a Black name. That's why you didn't get a call back. Well, in some cases right here, we know that's why people don't get a call back. So yeah, that's why I want to bring this story out, just to show that this type of discrimination does happen. It still happens. And, people will say, you're making excuses. You need to get a job, go get you. And the whole time you're trying to get a job, not knowing there's things that's in the background that you don't know. And you don't even know why you didn't get a call back. So, yeah. So with that, now I want to move on to my Black Authentic Truth story. We're about to wrap it up. And this is about, earlier I had a gentleman in here talking about Trump is not taking away Black history. It would have been good if he was still in here, but let me get this story. Screen share. So what's it look like this? Hmm. Okay. So this is about Trump trying to censor Black history. So this is from CNN. It talks about this image. So it says, "Scourge back, expose the horror of slavery. Now it's embroiled in America's censorship." So this is the image. This is the image that I, decided to use along with Harriet Tubman for Black Authentic Truth. And this is of Whipped Peter, or Gordon. His name is Gordon, or known as Whipped Peter. So I'm just going to read a little bit about it. Okay, what's going on. And it said, on Tuesday, the Washington Post reported that officials at an unidentified national park had ordered that the photo be taken down, along with signs. I'm sorry. Let me go up. But amid growing political debate over how history is presented in America's museums, the 1863 photo of Gordon has become a flashpoint in the controversy surrounding the Trump administration's efforts to eradicate what it calls corrosive ideology from federal-owned sites. It says, on Tuesday, the Washington Post reported that officials in an unidentified national park had ordered that the photo be taken down, along with other signs and exhibits related to slavery. Citing unnamed sources, the newspaper described the move as being in line with an executive order Trump issued in March, directing the U.S. Interior Department to do away with content that disparages Americans past or living. Okay, so this was a story that came out, and apparently the actual place where this picture is at, they have said that they have not taken it down, but you understand that America wants to, take away the idea that they were oppressors. So a lot of things is being looked at. So it says the dust up comes as Trump escalates attacks on museums, going so far as to slam the Smithsonian Institution for being overly concerned with how bad slavery was. In turn, the furor around Scourged Back has also generated renewed interest in the story behind the photo and what it means today. So what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about the Black Authentic Truth story is about Gordon. So that's what I'm going to read about. So just give me a second. Let me get this together. Trying to understand what is going on. I want to get this together for y'all. Let me put this up. Now this is Gordon. And I will be reading. Okay. Drink some water. I'm going to learn about Gordon. Now, excuse me. Gordon was an enslaved African-American who escaped from a Louisiana plantation in March of 1863 gaining freedom when he reached a Union camp near Baton Rouge. When his master heard of his escape, he recruited several neighbors, and together they chased after him with a pack of bloodhounds. Gordon had anticipated that he would be pursued, so he brought onions with him from a plantation in which he rubbed on his body to throw off the dog's scent. His resourcefulness worked, and Gordon, with his clothes torn and his body covered with mud and dirt, reached the safety of Union soldiers stationed in Baton Rouge 10 days later. He had traveled approximately 80 miles. While at this encampment, Gordon decided to enlist in the Union Army. President Lincoln had granted African Americans the opportunity to serve in segregated units, and only months earlier, Gordon was an enslaved African, I'm sorry, let me see. Gordon was at the front of a movement that would ultimately involve nearly 200,000 African Americans. It was during his medical examination prior to being mustered into the Army that military doctors discovered the extensive scars on his back. Not much is known about Gordon, aside from the testimony he gave the medical examiners and the image of his back and the keloid scars he suffered from his beating. He told examiners that he had left the plantation 10 days earlier and that the man who whipped him was the plantation's overseer. After the whipping, he was told he had become some sort of crazy and had threatened his wife as he lay in bed recovering. The plantation owner fired the overseer, but Gordon had already made up his mind he was going to escape when he was able. A surgeon with the 30th Regiment of the Massachusetts Volunteers sent a copy of a photograph of Gordon's back to the Surgeon General of the state of Massachusetts. In his accompanying letter, he wrote, "Few sensation writers have ever depicted worse punishments than this man must have received, though nothing in his appearance indicates any unusual viciousness. But on the contrary, he seems intelligent and well behaved." Within months, commercial photographers in Philadelphia, New York, Boston, and London were issuing this image on their own studio mounts. Recognized as a searing indictment of slavery, Gordon's portrait was presented as the latest evidence in the abolitionist fight against slavery. An unidentified writer for the New York Independent wrote, "This card photograph should be multiplied by 100,000 and scattered over the states. It tells the story in a way that even Miss Harriet Beecher, author of Uncle Tom's Cabin, cannot approach, but it tells the story to the eyes." Records of Gordon's military service during the Civil War are incomplete. Harper's Weekly reported that he served as a Union guide in Louisiana and that during one expedition, he was taken captive by Confederate forces, beaten, and left for dead. Yet he supposedly survived and returned to the Union lines. The Liberator reported that he served as a sergeant in the African American regiment that fought bravely at the siege of Port Hudson, an important Confederate stronghold on the Mississippi River, 20 miles north of Baton Rouge. There are no further records indicating what became of Gordon, yet this famous image of him lives on as a searing testament of slavery's brutality and the fortitude, bravery, and courage displayed by so many African Americans during this time period. This is the story of Gordon, also known to the world as Whip Peter. All right. And that is the Black Authentic True Story for today. All right. So that's it, y'all. That's it. That's what I got for y'all today. Hey, shout out to you, Ron. Shout out to you. This is Gordon, right? Shout out to you. I'm about to get up out of here, y'all, man. Listen, man, I appreciate all of y'all. Let me give y'all some shout outs, man. Y'all was up in here today. Appreciate that. Sister Barata Nawa, appreciate you. Desiree, appreciate you. Robert, appreciate your input. Trooper Shikata, I appreciate your input. Being here, right? Being here. Princess Kanawa, appreciate your input. Always. Black Ring 303, always my main man. All the time. Every time. All right. Kalmaz Ba, appreciate your input. Let's see. I want to make sure I get everybody. Akwet Kaba S. Ankh. Appreciate you. Thank you, sis. Appreciate you for your input. Let's see. Aditha Lee. Appreciate you, sis, for your input. And, you know, love that. Kalaya, appreciate you. Sister Kalaya, appreciate you, right? Joe Curry, listen, I appreciate you. You know what I mean? I appreciate your input. Shout out to you. Tiff Morris, shout out to you. Yeah, hit that. Yeah, they should hit that like button. Tiff Morris said, hit the like button. Just came in here just to say that. That's what's up. Renee Gaines, appreciate you, you know, all the time, every time. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what's up. Yes, that was definitely a strong brother. Yes, he was a strong brother, Gordon, right? Survive all of that. Listen, man, I appreciate everybody that was up in here. Once again, man, this is Black Authentic Truth. I'm Thawahgabar. I will see y'all possibly next Wednesday, but if not, next Sunday, man. Hey, thank you. Hey, no problem, Joe Curry. I appreciate you. I will see y'all next Sunday, man. Y'all stay safe. You know, y'all get y'all some rest for Monday tomorrow, and I'm out. All right.